Welcome to Reflect with Ed Fassio. Get ready to experience one of the world's first 100% digitally generated podcasts, where we take a step back, dive deep, and strive to learn new things. Join us as we unpack thought-provoking ideas, personal reflections, and inspiring stories to help you stay in the know. Reflect is brought to you by the minds at ByteBrain and powered by emerging technologies from Google, HeyGen, OpenAI, and 11 Labs. Thanks for tuning in. Now, relax and prepare to reflect.
Welcome to Reflect, one of the world's first 100% AI-generated podcasts.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Today, we're diving into universal basic income,
Okay.
UBI.
Right.
This idea of giving everyone regular cash payments, no strings attached.
Interesting.
Imagine a world where everyone has enough to cover their basic needs.
Yeah, like a safety net for everyone.
Could this be reality?
It's a big question.
To help us figure this out, we've got an expert on the show
Happy to be here.
who could break down UBI for us,
I'll do my best.
weighing the good and the bad.
Right, because there's always two sides.
So UBI, this futuristic idea.
Well, not really.
Hmm.
It's got some history behind it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, centuries old.
Wow.
Thinkers like Thomas More,
Uh-huh.
Thomas Paine.
I've heard of them.
They were worried about poverty and inequality back then.
Makes sense. Those are still huge issues.
Exactly. Those problems haven't gone away.
So why is UBI so popular now?
Things are changing fast.
Yeah,
Automation's on the rise.
true. And people are worried about jobs.
Right.
Plus, the gap between the rich and the poor.
It's getting wider all the time.
It's like a chasm.
And our welfare system.
Ick. Don't even get me started.
It's a mess.
So is UBI the solution?
Some people think so.
Okay, so how would it work?
Pretty simple, actually.
Okay.
Every citizen
Uh-huh.
gets a regular payment.
Okay.
Doesn't matter how much they make or if they're working.
No strings attached.
Exactly.
Sounds good. But the cost of living is crazy high.
Yeah, that's a big problem.
Go Banking Rates says you need over $301,000 a year to live comfortably in Massachusetts.
Seriously.
Yeah, it's insane.
That's a lot of money.
So how could a one-size-fits-all UBI even work?
You're right. It's not that simple.
Because cost of living is different everywhere.
Huge regional differences.
Yeah, what works in one place might not in another.
Exactly. A big challenge.
Or even if we could pay for it.
Which is another issue.
Right, even if we could,
Yeah.
it wouldn't fix everything.
Definitely not a magic solution.
Sounds like a logistical nightmare.
To really understand it,
Yeah.
we need to look at both sides.
Okay, the pros and cons.
Exactly.
Wow.
Let's start with the benefits.
Give me the good stuff.
Okay, so proponents argue
Uh-huh.
that UBI could be huge in fighting poverty and inequality,
Okay, so like imagine the impact.
especially in those lower cost areas.
Yeah,
A few $1,000s a year.
could make a big difference.
Absolutely a lifeline for some folks.
Okay, that makes sense.
Plus, think about the welfare system.
Oh,
UBI could simplify it.
instead of all those programs
Exactly.
and all that paperwork,
It would be more dignified, too.
less stigma.
Right.
That's a good point.
And there's more.
Okay, tell me.
Empowerment and flexibility.
How so?
People wouldn't be stuck in awful jobs just to survive.
I see.
They could pursue education, start businesses, care for family.
Without worrying about money constantly.
Exactly. It's about freedom.
Okay. I'm starting to see the appeal.
It's about giving everyone a chance to breathe.
But there's got to be a downside.
Of course, there are concerns.
Like what?
Let's start with the cost.
Yeah. How much would this thing cost?
To give a decent UBI to every adult in the U.S., trillions of dollars every year.
Shit.
That's a lot of money.
Seriously, trillions?
Critics say we can't afford it.
I can see why they'd say that.
And even if we could,
Mm-hmm.
there's that regional difference problem.
Right, right.
What's enough in one place?
Could be nothing in another.
And then there's the work question.
What do you mean?
People might work less if they're getting free money.
Oh, yeah, the work disincentive thing.
It's a valid concern.
But haven't there been experiments with UBI?
There have been some interesting ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they've actually shown some promising results.
So, like, real-world examples of UBI in action.
Exactly, places that have tried it out.
Okay, so tell me about these experiments. What do they find?
Well, one of the most well-known is Finland.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that one.
They gave 2,000 unemployed people a monthly payment.
How much were they getting?
It was 560 euros a month.
So, like $600.
Roughly. Yeah, and it ran for 2 years.
Okay, 2 years, that's a decent amount of time.
And get this, it didn't really affect employment rates.
What do you mean people weren't finding more jobs?
Not really, but here's the thing.
Okay.
their mental health and well-being improved.
So they were happier.
It seems like it, yeah.
That's interesting. So even though they weren't working more, they were feeling better.
Exactly. It challenges the idea that everyone would just slack off.
Right, because some people think that if you give people money for free, they'll just stop working.
Yeah, but this suggests there's more to it than that.
Maybe it's about taking away the stress of financial insecurity.
Exactly, giving people some breathing room.
So they can focus on other things.
Like their health, their families, their passions.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
What about other experiments?
Kenya's got a really interesting one.
Okay, tell me about it.
It's run by a nonprofit called Give Directly.
Okay.
And they've been giving cash to people in rural villages for over a decade.
Wow, a decade. That's a long time. What kind of results are they seeing after all that time?
Pretty impressive ones, actually.
Okay, like what?
Well, their income has gone up.
That makes sense.
But also food security, health education.
Wow. So it's making a real difference in their lives.
It seems like it, yeah, they're able to invest in themselves and their communities.
That's awesome. So they've got Finland showing improvements in well-being and Kenya showing economic progress.
It's pretty compelling evidence.
What about here in the U.S.? Have we tried any UBI experiments?
We have actually Sam Altman, the guy behind OpenAI.
Yeah, I know him. He's like a tech superstar.
He's been running a pilot program giving people $1,000 a month.
Seriously, $1,000 a month?
Yeah. And you know what they found?
What?
Similar improvements in people's lives.
Like their quality of life and financial stability.
Exactly.
Okay, so $1,000 a month can really make a difference.
It seems to be a sweet spot.
But these are all still pretty small scale, right?
Yeah, definitely pilot programs.
Can we really say that it would work the same way if we did it for the whole country?
That's the big question, right? Scaling it up is a whole other challenge.
Yeah, it's one thing to give a few thousand people some extra cash.
Yeah.
But millions.
We're talking about a massive undertaking.
Logistically, financially.
It wouldn't be easy.
And I'm sure the critics would have a field day.
Oh, they definitely have their concerns.
Like, what are their biggest arguments against UBI?
Well, the cost, for one thing.
Yeah, I've talked about the trillions of dollars.
It's a huge amount of money.
And I bet they'd say that people would just stop working.
The work disincentive argument? Yeah, it's a common one.
Because why work if you're getting paid to do nothing?
Right. That's the fear.
But the experiments haven't really shown that happening.
Not in a major way, at least.
So maybe it's not as simple as people think.
It's a complex issue.
What about inflation? Wouldn't all that extra money in the economy cause prices to go up?
That's another concern, yeah.
Because if everyone has more money to spend,
demand goes up.
but if there's not enough stuff to buy,
Supply can't keep up.
and then prices skyrocket.
It's a risk, definitely.
So we've got the cost, the work disincentives, the inflation fears.
Those are some of the big ones.
It's like a utopian dream with some serious potential downsides.
It's a balancing act, for sure.
We want to help people, but we don't want to create more problems.
Exactly. It's about finding the right approach.
So even if we decided to go for it with UBI, there's still a lot to figure out.
So many details.
Like, how much should people get?
That's a big one.
Enough to live on, but not so much that it breaks the bank.
Right. And then there's the question of how to pay for it.
Yeah, where does all that money come from?
Taxes, maybe?
But what kind of taxes?
Some people say progressive taxes.
So the rich pay more?
Others suggest a value-added tax.
What's that?
It's a tax on consumption, basically.
Interesting.
And then there's the idea of a robot tax.
What?
A tax on companies that use robots to replace workers.
Oh, I see. So the companies that benefit from automation.
Help fund the safety net for the people who lose their jobs.
It actually makes a lot of sense.
It's about finding creative solutions.
Yeah, we need to think outside the box.
Because this is a big challenge.
But it's an important conversation to have.
Absolutely. It's about the future of work and society.
What do we owe each other?
How do we create a fair and just system?
It's about more than just money.
It's about values and priorities.
This is deep stuff.
It really is.
It's time to make a real impact with your brand. Reflect offers a groundbreaking way to reach a global audience through custom storytelling. Research shows that people are 55% more likely to remember your brand when they connect emotionally, and there's no better way to create that connection than with a story. Forget cookie-cutter ads. With Reflect, you get a powerful AI-driven narrative that showcases your brand's journey in a way audiences won't forget. Ready to change the game? Head to reflectpodcast.com to book a free consultation. They're telling the future. Are you in it?
Welcome back to Reflect. We're wrapping up our deep dive into universal basic income.
It's been a wild ride, right?
Seriously, we've gone from ancient philosophers to robot taxes.
It's a big topic.
So much to consider, but Now I want to look ahead.
Okay, to the future.
What could a world with UBI actually look like?
It's the million-dollar question.
Literally maybe trillions.
And even UBI supporters don't all agree.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So they're divided on how it should work.
Absolutely. Different visions, different approaches.
Let's start with those pilot programs.
Good place to start.
They're like little sneak peeks into the future.
Exactly, but we can't just copy and paste.
Right, those were small scale.
What works for a few thousand people?
Might not work for millions.
So we got to be careful about drawing conclusions.
Okay, so what did we learn from those experiments?
Let's start with Finland again.
Okay, the one with the unemployed folks.
Yeah, 2,000 of them got monthly payments for 2 years.
And they didn't really find more jobs.
No, but their well-being went up.
Less stress, less anxiety.
Even though they weren't working more.
So maybe it's not just about work.
Maybe it's about security.
Knowing you can pay the bills.
Having that basic safety net.
That can make a huge difference for people's mental health.
It seems like it does.
What about Kenya? What happened there?
Their experiment has been running for over a decade.
That's incredible. 10 years of UBI.
In rural villages, thousands of people.
So what kind of long-term impacts are they seeing?
All kinds of good stuff.
Like what?
Higher incomes, better food security, improved health, even education levels are up.
Wow, it sounds like it's really transforming those communities.
It's giving people a chance to build a better future.
It's almost like UBI is planting seeds of opportunity.
That's a good way to put it.
But let's be real for a second.
Okay.
UBI is not a magic solution.
Definitely not a silver bullet.
We can't just throw money at problems and expect them to disappear.
It's got to be part of a bigger strategy.
Addressing the root causes of poverty and inequality.
And even then, it might not work perfectly.
There are always trade-offs.
Unintended consequences.
But even with all that said,
Yeah.
it's hard not to get excited about the potential.
I agree. It's a powerful idea.
A world where everyone has enough.
A world without poverty.
That's a world worth fighting for.
Absolutely.
Mm.
But we got to be smart about it.
Okay, so let's talk about the ethics of UBI.
The big questions.
Because it's not just about the money.
It's about values.
But what we believe as a society.
Right. Like, what do we owe each other?
Is everyone entitled to a basic standard of living?
Regardless of whether they work?
Those are some deep questions.
Questions that we have to grapple with.
It's like UBI is forcing us to re-examine our entire system.
Challenging our assumptions about work and deservingness.
It's making us think about what it really means to be a valuable member of society.
And what kind of world we want to create.
A world where everyone has the opportunity to thrive.
A world where everyone has a chance to contribute.
A world where everyone has dignity and respect.
That's the kind of future I want to see.
Me too. And UBI might just be a step in that direction.
It's a possibility.
Not a certainty.
But a possibility worth exploring.
Absolutely, and that's what we've tried to do in this deep dive.
To explore the complexities of UBI.
The potential benefits, the challenges, the ethical considerations.
A lot to wrap our heads around.
But it's a conversation we need to have.
Now more than ever.
As we face a future of rapid change and uncertainty.
The world is evolving.
And we need to evolve with it.
To find new solutions to old problems.
To create a future that works for everyone.
That's the goal.
So thank you for joining us on this journey.
It's been a pleasure.
We've covered a lot of ground.
From ancient philosophers to modern experiments.
From economic theories to ethical dilemmas.
It's been a whirlwind.
But we've only scratched the surface.
UBI is a topic that will continue to be debated and discussed for years to come.
And we encourage you to keep learning, keep thinking, keep questioning.
Because the future is not predetermined.
We have the power to shape it.
Through our choices, our actions, our conversations.
So let's keep talking. Let's keep exploring. Let's keep imagining.
Together, we can create a better world.
That's it for this episode of Reflect.
Thanks for listening.
We'll be back soon with another deep dive into a topic that matters.
Until then, stay curious.
And keep those minds open.
In the cyber ocean of online voices and recycled content, something different has arrived. Reflect isn't just another podcast, it's the future of storytelling, powered entirely by AI. From curating data to assembling thought-provoking ideas, we've redefined how journeys are told. Reflect is a podcast that thinks, learns, and evolves with each episode. Every tale, every insight, crafted by the most advanced AI technologies. A podcast that disrupts the industry, breaking free from traditional formats, taking you on an entirely new experience. So tune in now and reflect. We're telling the future.